I am looking at what may very well be the next Air Force One. It sits on the tarmac, a gleaming $400 million Boeing 747-8 Intercontinental. It was a gift to the United States from the royal family of Qatar, and on paper, it is the largest, fastest, and most advanced version of the most recognizable aircraft ever built. But I have to tell you, right now, this flying palace is a paradox. It cannot protect the president from anything more dangerous than turbulence. The narrative here isn't just about adding security systems. It is an investigative look into an engineering nightmare. The challenge is hiding a fortress inside a work of art without destroying either one. Why is this so difficult? We need to look at the evidence. The aircraft itself is a Leviathan. It measures exactly 250 feet from nose to tail, that is 20 feet longer than the current Air Force One. If you were to stand it on its tail, it would rise as high as a 19-story building. The wingspan dominates the tarmac at 224 feet, capped by winglets that curve upward. These aren't just decorative flourishes. They are aerodynamic necessities that break up vortices at the wingtips, improving fuel efficiency by roughly 2%. But the real story of power lies beneath those wings. 4 General Electric Gen 2B67 turbofan engines hang there, representing a generational leap over the engines powering the current VC-25A. Why does this matter? Because each engine produces 66,500 pounds of thrust while burning 15% less fuel. This efficiency comes from a bypass ratio of 8:1. For every pound of air that passes through the hot combustion core, 8 pounds flow around it. This moving wall of cold air generates most of the thrust, creating a smoother, quieter ride. Inside the combustion chamber, ceramic matrix composites handle temperatures that would melt conventional alloys, materials that didn't even exist when the current Air Force One was designed. The result is a machine with a maximum takeoff weight of nearly 1 million pounds. With a range of 8,000 nautical miles, it can fly non-stop from Washington to Singapore or Dubai. The current Air Force One maxes out at 6,800 miles and burns significantly more fuel to get there. This airframe, delivered new in 2012, has been sitting in a state of suspended animation. While the current fleet has endured 35 years of service, this jet is practically brand new, preserved in climate-controlled hangars. But the airframe is just the beginning. I want you to step inside, because the interior is what made this gift worth accepting and also what makes the retrofit so incredibly complicated. Step through the main entrance. You are not walking past rows of seats. You are standing in a private hallway that leads directly to the presidential suite. The Qatar jet was designed with a specific philosophy. VIPs enter their own space, completely separated from the crew. The primary bedroom sits at the forward end of the main deck. This isn't the pull-out couch that presidents have complained about for decades on the current Air Force One. This is a king-size bed, mounted to the airframe to remain stable during turbulence. Surrounding you is custom wood paneling, running floor to ceiling, hand-selected grain patterns matched across adjacent panels. This is millwork that costs thousands of dollars per linear foot. The lighting is indirect, the climate control is personalized. The master bathroom features marble countertops and gold-plated hardware, fixtures that belong in a Malibu mansion, not a pressurized tube at 40,000 feet. Move aft with me to the private office. On the current Air Force One, the office reflects 1980s thinking, functional, beige, and cramped. Here, the office looks like a corner suite in Manhattan. A full executive desk, leather chairs on swivel bases, and built-in display screens. Past the office lies the main lounge, the centerpiece of this aircraft. It is a space that defies the logic of aviation. Expansive seating areas, leather sofas deep enough to sleep on, and an entertainment center built into the wood-paneled walls. The windows are larger than standard, flooding the cabin with natural light. The upper deck is equally lavish. On a commercial 747, this is business class. On the Qatar jet, it is a sanctuary. A curved staircase connects the decks, finished with the same polished wood. For the Qatari royals, this was an elegant convenience. But for the Secret Service, this staircase is a tactical nightmare, a choke point that must be secured. Now, we have to face the reality of the situation. We have established that this aircraft is a masterpiece of luxury, but compared to the current Air Force One, the VC-25A, that old plane, despite its dated interior, is a flying bunker. It carries the most sophisticated airborne communications suite in the world, encrypted satellite uplinks, direct lines to nuclear command, and the ability to address the nation from the stratosphere. That equipment fills entire sections of the aircraft, racks of servers, and heavy cooling systems. The Qatar jet has none of this. It has consumer-grade internet that will be ripped out immediately. And this leads us to the critical conflict, the retrofit. The VC-25B program, the purpose-built replacement, has been designing these systems from day one. Every wire and cooling duct was planned before construction started. The Qatar jet must achieve the same result through reverse engineering. We have to install equipment the size of refrigerators into an aircraft designed to maximize passenger comfort. Let's talk about defense, because this is where the story gets terrifying. Currently, the Qatar jet's defense consists of a simple anti-intrusion alarm for when it's parked. That is it. No missile defense, no countermeasures. For the President of the United States, the highest value target on Earth, this is unacceptable. To understand the stakes, we have to look at the threats. Shoulder-fired missiles like the Stinger use infrared seekers to track the heat of jet engines. They see the hot exhaust as a bright spot against the cold sky. To defeat this, Air Force One requires the AN/ALQ-204 Matador system. Here is how it works, and it is pure sci-fi. Infrared sensors on the aircraft detect the ultraviolet flash of a missile launch. Within seconds, the system slews a high-powered infrared laser onto the incoming threat. This laser blinds the missile's seeker with energy, overwhelming it so it cannot distinguish the target. The missile loses its lock and flies off course. This happens automatically, faster than any human pilot could react. Then there are the flares and chaff. Chaff consists of thousands of thin metallic strips ejected to confuse radar-guided missiles. Flares burn at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, creating a decoy heat source hotter than the engines to lure infrared missiles away. The Qatar jet has none of these dispensers. They have to be cut into the airframe. But the most critical and most difficult requirement is EMP hardening. An electromagnetic pulse, whether from a nuclear detonation or a weapon, would fry unshielded electronics instantly. Air Force One must continue operating through a nuclear war. This requires a Faraday cage, a continuous shell of conductive material surrounding the entire cabin. On a military jet, this shielding is built into the skin. On the Qatar jet, it has to be added behind the wood paneling. Imagine the difficulty. One gap, one unsealed penetration, and the entire protection scheme fails. We are talking about retrofitting a shield that must be perfect, yet invisible, hidden behind leather and gold that was never designed to be disturbed. This is why many experts are skeptical. The aircraft is currently in San Antonio, where L3 Harris Technologies is attempting the impossible. They have to install fortress-level systems into palace-level interiors. The wood paneling needs to hide the Faraday mesh. The ceiling needs to conceal antenna feeds. The floors need to route cables to systems that don't have designated space. The communication suite alone requires hundreds of square feet for satellite terminals and encryption processors. On the purpose-built VC-25B, there are compartments for this. On the Qatar jet, engineers have to find room without destroying the passenger space. This brings us to the verdict. Aviation analysts call a quick conversion a fantasy. The timeline isn't determined by technical ability, but by 1,000 small decisions. Do you rip out the million-dollar woodwork to install a cable? Do you compromise on the layout to fit a server rack? Cost predictions are wildly uncertain. The aircraft was free, but the retrofit could cost anywhere from $100 million to over $1 billion. At the high end, we are looking for full equivalency with the future. Air Force One, every redundancy, every capability. The clock is ticking. The purpose-built VC-25Bs are scheduled for delivery in 2027, already years behind schedule and billions over budget. If this Qatar jet conversion works, it could bridge the gap. It could provide a modern, efficient, and luxurious platform while the purpose-built jets are finished. But if the conversion takes too long, or if the engineering challenges prove too great, the current fleet will have to keep flying until they literally fall apart. The irony is palpable. We have a plane that is perfect in every way, except for the ways that actually matter for survival. It is a work of art that needs to become a weapon of war. The engineers are just getting started, and the world is watching to see if they can turn a royal gift into a presidential fortress before time runs out. Ultimately, the Qatar jet might end up as the most expensive presidential library exhibit ever donated if it misses its window. It transfers to Trump's library by January 2029, if not in government service by then. The race is on. We will have to wait and see if this bird ever truly earns its wings.